Hello again to all my students. I'm glad you came to learn. Today we're talking about standard form or a quadratic function. First, what is the standard form when I type up parabolas? This should be a squared, be a and then x squared plus bx plus c. All a, b, and c stand for are numbers that are in the standard form. I would make sure to write down this formula because in standard form we're not sure what the vertex is, so it's a little bit harder to graph when I don't know the number right away. So this would be how I'd figure out what the x is. Once you know what the x is, you plug it back into the equation. That's all this is saying, is evaluate that number for x to figure out what y is. And that would be your vertex, and the c will always be your y-intercept. That's always true. So really, the difference in between these two graphs here are this is where a is going to be a positive, and this is where a is going to be negative. Now we're going to find the vertex, axis, symmetry, maximum, and domain and range. So first, I want to figure out what the x value is in my vertex. And if you wrote that down, it would be the opposite of b over 2a. Now in this formula right here, a is equal to 2, b is equal to 8, and c is equal to negative 2. So first thing I want to do is find my vertex, and to do that I have to first figure out what x is equal to. So x is going to be equal to negative 8, because that's opposite of your b, over 2 times 2, because 2 times 2 is because of my 8. And that would be equal to negative 2, so that's my x. So I'm going to put negative 2 in for my x. And how do I figure out what my y is? I just plug it into my actual equation. So y is going to be equal to 2 times negative 2 squared plus 8 times negative 2 minus 2. Again, it's this equation that's given. And that would be equal to negative 10 if you were to solve that. Then I'm also looking for my axis of symmetry. Remember, the axis of symmetry is always going to be the x value. So it would be x is equal to negative 2 here, because that would be my dotted line up and down. In this case, I look at my a. My a value is positive, so it's going to be a minimum. So I'm going to write minimum at where y is equal to negative 10. Because again, my parabola would look something like this, so my vertex would be the very smallest value there. In my range here, I'm just going to find range, is how far down do you go? My furthest down I go is going to be negative 10. I'm going to put a bracket because that's included. It's going all the way up to infinity and beyond. So now I want you to pause the video and attempt to do this problem by yourself. Again, pause the video, attempt to do the problem by yourself. And here's what you should have gotten. Your vertex, if you were to follow your equation, it's the opposite of negative 4, so that would become positive 4, over 2 times negative 3, because that's your a. You get 4/6 or 2/3. If you plug 2/3 into your equation, you get 2 out. So your axis is where x is equal to 2/3, and you're going to have a maximum, because a is negative, it would flip it upside down, so that'd be a maximum value. So when you're doing your range, how far down you go is going to infinity, so it's negative infinity, and how far up you go would be a positive 2. So now if we're in standard form and if we want to graph the equation, first thing you want to do is find your vertex. Again, it's your opposite b over 2 times a. So in this case, my vertex is going to be negative 1. If I plug negative 1 into my equation, you would get 2 out. So now I would want to make a table, just like you have done before, and you want to pick 2 points on both sides of the vertex. So negative 3, negative 2, negative 1, 0, and 1. And then you should fill out the table. So if I plug negative 3 into my equation, you should get 6 out. If you plug negative 2 into the equation, you should get 3, negative 1, 2, 0, 3, 6. And then you plot those points, negative 3, positive 6, negative 2, positive 3, negative 1, 2, 0, 3, and 1, 6, and it should be a mirror image from the axis of symmetry. That is how you would graph in standard form. Pause the video. Yes, pause the video and do this problem by yourself. And this is what your graph should look like. Your vertex should be at 1/2, negative 4.5. And then my table right over here is what I got. And even though on my graph it can't really tell us at negative 4.5, as long as I can see your actual vertex, you're good to go. And last but not least, if I have standard form and if I want to change it so that it is in vertex form, remember this is your vertex form. So first thing you want to do is figure out what your vertex is. And it's opposite b over 2 times a. So in this case I had negative 10 over 4, which would be negative 5/2. And then I plug that back into my equation to figure out what my y would be in my vertex form. And when you plug that in, you would get that since x is negative 5.5, y would be negative 5.5. And you can leave it decimal or fraction, it doesn't matter to me. The a does not change, so this is my a. So when I'm writing out my equation, my format is y is equal to, my a here is 2, so it stays 2, and then I'm going to have x. In this case, I'm going to have plus, because my vertex is negative, I'm going to have a positive inside the parentheses. 5/2 squared, and then I'm going to have subtract 5.5, and this would be my answer right here. Pause the video and attempt this problem by yourself. Here I found my vertex opposite b over 2 times a, and your a here is negative 1, so my x value is 2. When I plug 2 back into my equation again, when you're doing this, you have to make sure to put this in parentheses. If you don't, you are going to get the wrong answer. When you plug that in, you should get 1 out. So when I'm writing my vertex form, my a again does not change, so I'm still going to have a negative. You can just write a negative, or you can put negative 1. It does not matter. They're the same thing. In my vertex, my x is a positive 2, so I have to make sure to write minus inside squared, and I went up 1. So this right here is my final answer. Make sure you have all 6 examples in your notebook. If you don't have 6, you're not going to get full credit. Have a great, grand, wonderful evening.